Hi quilters. I don't know about you, but every once in a while I want to sew something a little bit fun and silly. So I found this pattern on the mymodafabrics.com website, my.modafabrics.com, and it was called Sew a Little Love Bug, and I thought it would be fun to make and either donate or give to somebody who needs a little love, and so I thought I'd do a little video about how to make it. You can find the pattern on their website and print it right at your home computer. The first thing I did was to trace the circle onto freezer paper. I did the quarter circle that's on the one page, and then I moved the paper just a little bit to get the other three sections until I had the full circle made. I like using freezer paper because it's easy to see through and it's large enough to get the whole template made and relatively inexpensive. Moda Fabrics partnered with Creativity Shell to make this pattern for the Sew a Little Love Bug pattern available. The Creativity Shell is a nonprofit organization that teaches classes such as sewing, textile arts, cooking, building, and other creative trades to students in private studios. These classes are also taught in libraries, schools, therapy centers, the juvenile justice system, as well as shelters that rescue children from homelessness and human trafficking. All of their classes are designed to teach children essential life and practical skills. When I first saw it on the Moda website, I knew I wanted to make one of these, and I really liked the fact that they were trying to promote youth mental health awareness. So I thought it was really important to promote it and give it a look. All you need to make this little love bug is 5 fat quarters and some rickrack. Pick the fabric that you want for the body of the love bug, and you want to fold it in half, find the center, and then you're going to finger press that so you know where that is, and then you're going to lay it right side up on your cutting board. On the selvage end, you are going to mark a line 4 inches from the center on both sides. You will use those marks to place your wing pieces in place. Take 2 fat quarters, fold them in half, and then you're going to lay one so the top is at the center and then the bottom is right at that 4-inch mark. You're going to do that for both the left and the right wing. Make sure the fold is in the center and the raw edges are on the outside. Next, fold the fat quarter in half that you have decided you want to use for the head piece, and then you're going to lay that on top of the wing pieces with the fold facing down and the raw edges at the top. Then you're going to lay your backing fat quarter right sides down, and you're going to line it up with the fat quarter that's on the bottom. Now it's time to cut out your circle template. Once your template is cut out, you're going to use it to trace a circle on the wrong side of the backing fabric. I use the straight lines to kind of help me make sure it's centered and I've kind of got it equally spaced where I want it. I used a friction pen to trace all the way around on the circle, and I made the mark right on the fabric. The next thing you want to do is pin all the layers together. You want to pin all the way around close to the edge and then put a few pins in the middle. Make sure that you're picking up fabric from all of the layers. Once it's pinned, you want to cut 1/2 inch away from the line that you drew. I used a ruler and a rotary cutter to get a little bit of a first half-inch cut, and then I used my scissor to go all the way around because that was a little bit easier. Once you've cut all the way around, remove the excess fabric. Now it's time to put the legs in place. You're going to cut 4 pieces of rickrack about 6 inches long and fold them in half. You're going to insert the feet between the backing and the front of the bug. I unpinned in a few places to get my feet in the right spots and then made sure it was going to lay flat and I have my raw edges together. And then I double pinned in the places where I had the rickrack so that when I'm sewing, I can make sure to go over those places a couple times so that the rickrack's in there nice and sturdy. I did use my ruler so I could kind of double check that things were spaced properly. Once pinned, I checked the back to make sure everything was nice and flat and there weren't any big bubbles or anything, and now it's time to sew. You want to mark approximately a 5-inch opening at the bottom of the circle so that you can turn it right side out and stuff it. I did it where it's just the 2 layers of the body and the backing. Now you're going to start at one mark and sew on the line and get all the way around and stop on the other mark. You want to backstitch at the beginning and the end and where each of the feet are for the love bug. Once it's sewn, you want to remove the pins, and if you like, you can sew again all the way around. I like to do that sometime with stuffed kind of things, just so that the seam is a little bit more sturdy and I don't have to worry about the seams coming apart as it's being loved. Before you turn it right side out, you want to clip the edges to reduce bulk, and you want to clip about every 3/4 to an inch along the whole circle. My little scissor cuts right to the point and is nice and sharp. Now it's time to turn it right side out. Once I had it turned right side out, I decided to give it a quick little press. I like to press the opening seam so that when I go to close that seam after it's stuffed, that it's a little easier to have a pressed edge to sew along versus having to fold it in as I go. After I've pressed the front side, I'm going to flip it over and press it from the back too. Now it's time to add some eyes to this bug. You can use buttons, which I did on a couple of mine, or you can, if you're going to give it to somebody who's young, you don't want them to pull off the buttons and possibly choke on them, you can use some heat and bond and applique some eyes into place. I'm going to trace the eye shape on the heat and bond light on the paper side, and then you're going to iron that to the back side of whichever fabric you want to use for the eyes. Once it's been ironed and cooled down a little bit, you can cut out the circles. Once you have figured out where you want to put them, you want to take the paper backing off of the fabric and then put them in the place where you want them and iron them down. Once they've been pressed into place, you need to stitch them down with your sewing machine so that they are always going to be there. You can use a zigzag stitch or a blanket stitch or any kind of specialty stitch that you want. Once you have the eyes in place, it's time to add your stuffing. I used fiberfill, but they suggested using fabric scraps for a no-waste project. Once you have it filled with fiberfill to the desired stuffness that you want, then it's time to sew the opening shut. I used a simple running stitch, and I usually will go along it once in one direction, making sure every once in a while to take a backward stitch so it doesn't pull, and then I will go ahead and do it the other way so I know that opening is going to stay closed. Now that I have the opening closed, it's time to just give it one last little fluff and see how it looks. When I finished my first one, I decided I needed to make a couple more. One of them, I decided I wanted to put some batting in there to see how that would look. I added the layer of batting after I put the backing on. So it's just on top of everything else, there was a layer of batting, and then I drew the circle on the batting. I really like the way this one turned out because it just kind of added a little extra layer to that back side of it. And when I stuffed it, it just seemed a little easier to stuff. So I probably will do that on future love bugs that I make. On this one, I also decided that I wanted both wings to be from the same fabric. So I used a half a yard of fabric for the wings and then 3 fat quarters for the body, the head, and the back. I really liked how the striped fabric looked for the wings. I thought it looked really cool. I think somebody's really going to like that. And for the second 2 love bugs that I made, I decided to use big buttons for their eyes instead of doing the applique eyes. I hope you will share the love and make a little love bug for somebody you know. You can even tuck a little note into the wings of the bug. We hope you'll hit the like button, make a comment, share with your quilting friends, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Happy quilting!